Welcome to the G3X Podcast, where it's all God, Gym, Grind, Unfiltered. This is episode 19, and our special guest today is Luis. How are you today, Luis? Thank you so much for being here.
Hey man, I'm super excited to be here. I'm doing really well, super pumped, and I look forward to having this conversation with you. I know we've been wanting to do this for a really long time, so I feel like it's finally our moment.
For sure. No, definitely. Yeah. Me and Luis been talking for this for a while to do the podcast and everything. And here we are. I met him as all my previous guests, through social media. I believe specifically through Threads, actually, initially. And then we connected through Instagram. And then I would see the notification is live. And I'm like, hey, let me see some of his live streams. And then that's kind of like sparked everything else. And so I love his background. To the audience, ultimately, um, Luis, can you feel free to introduce yourself, your background, what you're currently doing, so the audience gets a little feel from you, and it's gonna be a fun one for sure.
Yeah, so a little bit about my background is I'm a content creator, but my niche is self-improvement and positivity. Because I feel like those two go really well together. I know there's a lot of self-improvement advice out there that's like very tough. So I feel like a little bit of kindness with it doesn't hurt. So I try to give a bit of both worlds because I am a happy person and I do want to help others be happy as well and improve their life so they can be even happier.
Beautiful. I love it. I love it. Yep. And I've seen the content there that you consistently posting, especially on Threads, and I love it, and especially the engagement you're building and everything. So it's awesome, awesome stuff. It's a big reason why I wanted to have you here. But getting into that then, as you mentioned, in that like self-improvement and so forth, what ultimately got you started in, let's say, your own self-improvement journey? I remember in the forum that you had filled out for the podcast, you mentioned it was something that got you interested like during high school, and then you kind of been developing it forward. So what maybe sparked that in you?
Yeah. So, I mean, if you want me to be completely honest, I, in high school and middle school is where I realized that I didn't like myself. Because I feel like in elementary school, I was very like popular and well liked. All of my teachers liked me. And then as you grow older, you start meet more and more people. And then that's when you start to realize that not everyone is gonna like you. So when I was first exposed to that, I was very like confused and thrown off. I was like, whoa, like why doesn't that person like me? I didn't do anything to them. I think I'm pretty nice to everyone. And then when you get into high school, it's like I started to mature a little bit, and I was like, it's because I don't like myself. Like I realized that, whoa, like something's wrong with me. Like I don't like myself. What is wrong? So that's when I came into this journey of like, okay, let's start working out. Let's start trying different things. And in high school, I would spend a lot of time watching YouTube because there's a lot of like self improvement content out there. And I was like, okay, let's watch this. Like, how to be more charismatic. I was watching like little charisma channels on YouTube. And I was in high school, and it was like these professional like speakers, like Vanessa Van Edwards, and like, there's another guy. I think his channel is Charisma on Command. I was watching these channels, trying to be more charismatic, trying to get people to like me. Did it work? No, but that's because the problem was never me. I thought it was me in the beginning, and it was like I don't like myself, so I kept trying to like improve. I started working out. I started getting into fitness, and then I started getting into like psychology and like learning how people's minds work and then how my own mind works. And I was just really obsessed with like improving myself because I thought something was broken in me. And then from there, as you start to grow older and like I started getting into college, I was like, yeah, the problem isn't me. It's the way that I think. So it is me, but it's like realizing that not everyone is gonna like you no matter what you do. So it's like the problem is both a little bit like society, people, and then a little bit of me. So what I realized is that well, the problem is that I don't like myself. That's the problem. Like I need to realize who I am. And I feel like that's one of the biggest parts of like a self-improvement journey is realizing who you are, what you're good at, what you stand for, what your values are, and finding those like good things about you. So the more I explore this self-improvement journey, I realize that it's really all about understanding who you are. So you can learn to love yourself, you can learn to appreciate yourself, and you can also learn how to grow and build a better future for yourself. So I feel like that's where it all started. I feel like I'm a person that's recovering from not liking yourself. And that is the biggest problem is not liking yourself. Because if you don't like yourself, no one's gonna like you. And you have to understand that this is all a mental game. If I like myself and I portray the energy of like I really like myself, I think I'm a great person, you can start to convince others of that. And even if they don't like you, you understand that there's nothing wrong with you. So you just accept it and move on. Before I was like, oh man, this person doesn't like me. There must be something wrong with me. Let me try everything in my power to get them to like me. And even if I did do everything that I thought would change it, it wouldn't happen. So when you learn to like yourself and learn to really work on yourself and focus on you, you start to accept the things around you without being too bothered by it.
I love how you said that. That's so true because ultimately, spot on. And I know you're also a listener of Gary Vee, and that's one of the things I also admire about Gary Vee. How he does talk about that a lot, like to like give yourself grace and like to love yourself ultimately, right? And be aware of who you are, right? I think that's super important because if you're not really sure of who you are, then yeah, you're gonna you become other people trying to please others because you don't know your own identity in a sense, right? If you don't know your identity, then you'll just follow along what anyone else says about you or to do, and it's again because of your own lack of worth and identity. And I think that's super important for sure. I know myself back in those college days and being much younger, how there was that, let's say, struggle of identity, wanting to fit in, right? Wanting to be with a specific crowd. And then, in a sense, sometimes if you're not careful, you end up, let's say, losing who you really are. And then you find yourself in a spot where it's like, what am I doing? Like, this isn't me. And
Yeah.
I love how you mentioned, though, that you, let's say, recognize that fact of, let's say, hey, it's a problem internally versus externally, let's say, where, and then you made certain decisions to change, right? Because I know a lot of people probably, I would say twofold. Let me hear your thoughts on this. That sometimes some people lack, let's say, if that's the correct word to even use, maybe lack the conviction that it's something that they want to change, or others that they do admit, like they can acknowledge, hey, yeah, there's something I need to change, but they don't take action. So, it's either both folds. Either they just don't accept the fact that they need to change, like, no, I'm fine. And they can, or they know that they need to change, but yet they don't do action on that. And at least in your story, from what I'm seeing, is like you were able to acknowledge, hey, something's up, and then you took action to change versus staying the same, right?
Yeah, for sure. And I think you are right. Like there are people that there are things about them that are pushing away and that are wrong. I feel like in my case, I can't say that I'm like a saint or I'm perfect, but I will say that I've never approached people with the intention of hurting them. And there are people that do that, but they might do that without realizing it. Like maybe the way they say things is really like rough or it's really mean or it's too direct. And for me, it's like when you're a people pleaser, you tend to be a lot nicer to everyone, even if it's not very authentic. So I feel like for me, it was like, yo, 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 like you have to understand not everyone's gonna like you. There's nothing wrong with you. You just have to realize it yourself. And then with other people, it's like, yeah, there are things that are wrong with me, and I need to start changing my habits, or I need to listen to people. I think that's one of the biggest and hardest parts about a self improvement journey is listening to other people and knowing who to listen as well, because you can't listen to everyone. But if you listen to people that love you and care about you, and you start seeing things from their point of view, that's when you can start really improving on yourself. Like if you listen to your close friend and he's like, man, that thing that you said right now is really messed up. Or like, I understand what you were trying to say, but the way you said it was really messed up. Like you have to change your wording, or instead of saying that, you could have said this. Because I feel like there are those two sides, and it's really all about like understanding which side you're on and then working on.
Yeah, no, exactly, exactly. And for me, what I've noticed, let's say through my own, let's say, let's say my own journey of same thing. I think we all go through a process of self improvements, of self, like, at the end of the day, because I think you're leveling up as you go, let's say middle school, high school, college, work, family, so you're always like going through these different stages. And of course, certain things that could happen in through middle, through high school, college, childhood, etc. If let's say certain things aren't dealt with, that starts building up into your, like, let's say as you get older, which then accumulates to certain kinds of habits or certain kinds of actions or certain ways of speaking. I know exactly what caught me there when you said like, hey, sometimes people might say something they don't even recognize it. And it's true because maybe the way they were brought up, the way their parents spoke to them as a child, their family, etc. And so they think it's normal, but maybe it's not normal to others. And so also having that, like, I guess you could say self-awareness in a sense of how you are as a person, but then how others can interpret that too. You know what I mean? And I think that I think that's the whole thing with self-improvement is like, okay, You work on your own habits of yourself, but then also how you relate it with other people, not worrying about the way I like to see it is like, you be respectful to anyone, to everyone. Of course, at the end of the day, some people will like you for who you are, others don't. So be it. I'm still going to be, let's say, respectful, but at the same time, conscientious, whatever, that, hey, you could do good to someone, that person won't even care, but hey, so what? Because it could pay back sometime later down the line, someone else type of stuff. It's like, there's that saying, you reap what you sow, but don't expect it from the same person. You reap what you sow, and it could be someone else that you reap what you, let's say I sow in you as an example, something, and then doesn't necessarily mean you're going to reciprocate it. It could be someone else that reciprocates that to me. And it just kind of like builds off of itself. You know what I mean? I don't know if that makes
Yeah, I know
sense.
what you mean. Yeah, and I agree with you. I'm not sure if you heard of, I forgot what it's called. There's a like physics law where it's like, oh, for every action there's an
Action.
opposite reaction.
Okay.
So if you do good to the world, yeah, it might not come back directly to you, but like let's say I say something nice to you and it makes you feel really good, and you were in a bad mood that day, and you were about to go off on someone, and then instead of doing that, you decided to be nicer to that one person that you're about to go crazy on, and then that person is nicer to someone else, and then that person is nicer to someone else, and then yeah, eventually that kindness will come back to you by some person, and you might be like, whoa, this person was really nice to me, and I have no clue why. And when that happens, you usually want to pay it forward, or usually like feel like there's hope in the world, so you feel like there's a reason to be nice. It's really hard to explain, but it's like it is very true. Where it's like if you are kind to people, it will come back eventually.
100%. Spot on. Spot on. And what I want the audience to be aware of is that I feel like a lot of us, I would say, especially maybe the younger generation, like our age range, in our like early 20s, mid 20s, late 20s, etc. But it could probably apply to all, where you do good to someone, and nature, let's say your close friends, doesn't have to be your best friend, but like your friends, best friends, close friends, even cousins, certain family members that you get along with well, that you do good to them, whatever that good may be. You did them a favor, you dropped them off, you gave them a ride, whatever, it doesn't matter, right? You just did something good to them, you bought them lunch. And then I know it's human nature, I guess, that we would expect something back from them, not that same time, but like, if let's say you come, let's say you did them a favor, and then you come, hey, I gave you a ride last week, and you helped me give a ride, and they say no. You're like, yo, what the heck, And and for me, it's like, it's hard to like say find the balance. And when I say the balance is like going to what we just said, don't expect that same person to reciprocate it, right? Regardless if it's family, parents, loved one, you know, yes, you would expect it, but sometimes it just doesn't happen. But then that's not an excuse of, let's say, not continuing to do good, right? Because some people would take it like, oh, for what? I'm always good to people, and they take advantage. There's also a balance for that, because yes, there's certain people that would take advantage, but it's like certain, using some kind of common sense, I guess you could say, but like still be good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I actually heard an argument once which completely changed my mind about this, because I used to be like, well, why am I nice to people? When you're a people pleaser and you don't please everyone, you're like, why am I nice to people? There are still people that hate me. There are still people that want the worst for me. And I've heard a lot of people say that their excuse that they're not nice to others is because every time they're nice to someone, they take advantage of them, which you just said right now. And when I was watching, I don't even know if it was a TED Talk or if it was a podcast, but it was like some serious person, like it was someone that you can tell, when you can like look at someone, you're like, oh yeah, this is an authority. Like it was someone that was an expert in this field. And they were like, that's because you're not truly a kind person. They're like, kind people don't expect anything in return. They're just kind because they feel it. Manipulative people expect something in return. So when you don't give them that back, they get angry and they're like, oh, they're taking advantage of me. And it was like that doesn't make any sense. Like I'm not manipulative. I'm not trying to control people. But then when you think about it, and in that moment you're like, I'm gonna do this for this person. Maybe in the future they will help me. That's when you're like, oh yeah, yeah, I do expect something from them. So if you just like help someone that can't give back to you, I think this is even in the Bible where it's like it says something about if you help someone who can't pay it back to you, like God will reward you for it. So I feel like you have to understand that yeah, you will not get it from the same person, but you will get it back. Like, no, like I said before, it's like for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So you might not get it back exactly from that person, but the energy that you put out into that world will come back to you. And it works the opposite way too. If you hurt someone, maybe that person won't hurt you back, but in the future, someone will hurt you. And that's why there's people that are like, man, like, I don't know why this thing is happening to me, or like, why life is going so bad for me right now. And it's like, well, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, you hurt someone. Maybe it's coming back to you now. It wasn't that person, but it's definitely for that reason. So, yeah, it's, you have to really think about like your actions. And then for kindness, it's like, you have to really understand that you have to do it because you feel it. You have to do it because you want to be nice, not because you expect something back, which sucks because as humans, we do expect something back. And I feel like this generation too, we're very transactional more than ever. So it's tough.
Yep, yep. It's that I guess when we were talking about being just that self-awareness of like when you do something, hey, just don't expect anything back and it is what it is. Keep being good. And
Yeah.
then it'll reflect back on you, but just keep going. You know,
And if
you
you
hold the door to someone and they just walk by and don't even say thank you. Like, I'm about to slam the door right in your
I
face,
know what I'm
man.
saying, bro.
But like, hey, whatever. That's manners. You know, you were brought up like that's the right thing to do, and just so be it, right?
Yeah. And if you do want to be selfish about it, one thing you can do, which has been helpful for me, is don't do it because you're gonna get something out of them, but do it because it makes you feel good. Like when you do open that door for someone, yeah, maybe they don't say thank you, but if you're like, hey man, I did something nice for them. Like I did something nice for someone today. Like I did something good for society. Maybe it wasn't huge, but if you're a little bit selfish that way, where it's like, well, I'm doing it to give myself like the pleasure of feeling like a good person, then do that.
Yep, exactly. Spot on. Love it. Now, let me also talk you the following. So I know you also, aside from, let's say, the content creation, I know from the form there's also like within your background, you know, you're a student, graphic designer as well. So talk to me a little bit about that. You know, I'm sure there's a lot listening to this podcast who probably fall under like that college student role or like student role plus work plus let's say social media, etc. How do you go about balancing that, finding the balance of like, you know, your content creation, your designing, your studies, and still being able to, let's say, stay consistent with like your own growth journey and such?
Yeah, for sure. I actually like this question because a lot of people think you're some type of genius and that you're perfect. And no, you're not. Because I think a lot of people think or assume that in order to be doing multiple things, you have to be like, you have to give your 100% to each one. And as you start to grow and actually start doing multiple things, you start realizing that the secret behind it all is delegation. And it's like understanding, okay, what's most important to me in this moment, today, or like in this month. And that's what you put most of your effort on. So for me, content creation is one of the biggest things that I care about, but I also treat it like it's a hobby. So whenever I have free time, instead of, I don't know, watching a movie or something, or I don't know, just going out and having fun, I'll just like be on social media, replying to comments, making new content, working on different things. And then when school's very demanding of me and I have projects to do, then I put everything away, work only on school, and then get back to social media and stuff when whenever, I have time again. And for freelancing, it's the same way. If this project is due today, I'll put everything away, work on this project, then I'll work on school, and then I'll work on content creation. So for me, I treat content creation like leftover, like any leftover time that I have, I put it into content creation. So and then there are days where it's like my content creation is very demanding. Like maybe that day I got a lot of engagement and I want to take advantage of it right now so I can grow in the future, et cetera, et cetera. Like for this podcast, yeah, I did have to put time away from my other stuff to focus on this. So it's really all about recognizing like what is the most important thing? What can I spend time on whenever I'm like free? And then just like trying to balance out your time that way. Like you have to understand that you can't give everything your 100%. Like I can't be the best designer in the world, the best student in the world, and also the best like content creator in the world because that's not realistic. But I can be a really great designer in this one moment, and then I can be a really great content creator in this other moment, and then I can be a really great student at this other time. So it's really all about like managing your time and managing your focus as well.
Exactly. I love how you ended that. Exactly. The focus, knowing your priorities. What's your priority for that specific day and so forth. I like that. And having still that flexibility to adjust as you need to be. I remember one of my prior podcasts where one of our guests was like, she literally mentioned this, how it was, we all have 24 hours, but we don't all have 24 hours. And what she meant by that is like, hey, everyone, yes, has the same 24 hours, but based off of your occupation, based off of what you're doing, it's like it's allocated differently. You can't compare, let's say, a 21-year-old, let's say, gamer versus a mom with 3 kids and so forth. Right? Yes, it's the same 24 hours, but a totally different way of time management and
For
how
sure.
much time you really have in a sense, right? So I like how you mentioned that. I think it's spot on. Same thing with me when I'm going with like the business. Sometimes some days it's like, okay, just fully content creation, just creating videos or editing videos, other stuff. Other times it's just like doing, like, let's say, live streams through TikTok or whatnot for sales. Other
Yeah.
times it's working on the website and like doing certain changes to the website. Is like when you're working on that specific thing, it's just that one specific thing at that moment in time. And I really like how you said that, like, hey, you could be a really good content creator for this specific moment, and then a really good designer for that specific moment. It's like, yeah, you have, like, at the end of the day, when you're running your own thing, let's say that's solopreneur, freelancer, etc. You do have multiple hats at the end of the day. It's just how it is. And then as you start scaling, exactly as you said, you start, let's say, delegating to certain, that's where you start building team and everything. So I think that's like super cool. For you, what has been like any specific, let's say, tools or, let's say, application softwares you use to like more like keep yourself organized, scheduling tools, calendars, to-do lists, or anything of that sort that you use?
Oh, I do a mix of it all, man. So I have a Google Calendar where I specifically put the time for this podcast. I also have my classes on there, doctor's appointments. Dude, I even have like church. I go to church Saturday and Sunday. I have the masses written down on there.
That's me
And
with gym as well. Gym and church, I have like, okay, these
oh yeah,
hours
gym too.
exact.
Yeah, gym too. And even like any little event, I could even put like pizza party and I'll have it down there. And from there, I also have a to-do list. And on this to-do list, it's just like stuff. Like, for example, maybe today, maybe I'm like having this podcast with you, and then I'm like, oh man, I have a project due tomorrow. Like, I better really practice that slideshow. So, it's like, I might take, whenever I have free time, I'll write that down on my list. And then I'll see where I put that in my calendar. Sometimes I don't put it on the calendar. Sometimes I just have the list and I do tasks as I see them. Like, I'm like, okay, well, this one's more important. I'll do this one today. Or whenever I have free time, I'm like, okay, well, let's go down the list and get them all done. I also do use a lot of scheduling tools. I use Bolta AI for threads, so that's where I schedule all of my posts. And then for Instagram, I just use the Instagram scheduling tool. If you guys don't know where it is, you just go to like your settings and then advanced settings. No, you make a post, you click advanced, and then from there you just like schedule it. I don't have a scheduling tool for like X, so I just post whenever I have free time. And then I use a lot of AI. And I know a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, AI is the devil. Like, get that away from me. It's like, no, relax.
Come back.
AI is supposed to just, like, whatever takes you the most time, AI can probably do it for you. So that's how I use it. It's like, if I can use AI to make a very boring, long process faster, then that's what I use it for. And I use different chatbots. I mean, not chatbots. I have different conversations, so I have them all labeled differently. And I pretty much just give it one big prompt. And then from there, I just command it. I'm like, okay, every time I'm going to give you this input and you're going to spit it out this way. And from there, I just go back and I just input something, hit enter, and it spits it out at me the way that I want it to. And that can be like homework, that could be copywriting, that could be emails for my clients, that could be creating content with it, refining content, grammar, anything. And I think that's pretty much all the tools that I use. It's like Google Calendar, because you have to see like where you can put, you have to see
Your
where
time
your time is
slots.
on your calendar. Yeah. Like I feel
Yep.
like time when it's visual, it's easier to manage. So that's why Google
Thousand
Calendar is
percent.
important. And then the list is just your brain dump. Like that's where you put things randomly. And then I use ChatGPT to like manage to just speed up process, like speed up things that are very like boring to do or time is consuming. I also started using Trello, which is it's pretty much like a list, and then from there you
Nice.
can like prioritize things. I think it's similar to Asana. I know you use that.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm exploring with those tools. Right now I don't like them because I feel like it takes more time for me to put stuff in there than like it does to get it done. So but
Nice.
definitely just like explore what works best for you. And there's apps out there too.
Yep, no, 100% spot on. Yeah, like for example, like before, like let's say 6 months ago, maybe six, yeah, I would say 6 months ago, if you had asked me, maybe I would have been like, I'm using this app called TickTick, right? Which is like a to-do list. And it was like super cool, it like synced with your calendar and everything. And then recently I just ended up switching back to just Apple Calendar and reminders on the
Yeah.
iPhone app, and that's it. And then Notes is like those three apps, if you know how to use them, is like really clutch and it syncs well. Same thing, ChatGPT. Lately I've been using a lot of ChatGPT and Perplexity as well for certain like tools. ChatGPT for certain types of AI. You've seen some of these new trends with the AI images, which are pretty fun, which are pretty
Yeah.
cool to create, you know. And then I'm using Perplexity just because I like some of the responses. It's been giving me a lot more detailed versus ChatGPT. Um, I use the free versions as of now for any like Claude, ChatGPT, Perplexity. One
Mhm.
thing that's also cool, I agree with you there with the scheduling comes in clutch. You know, for X, in case you didn't know, there's no scheduling on the app, which is annoying. But if you log in on your browser, you can schedule everything on your browser. So that's what I do with Twitter. I schedule everything through the browser. Like you open, like you do a tweet and you see a little like calendar at the bottom right corner, kind of like LinkedIn, a little bottom corner somewhere, like a little
Yeah.
calendar with like a plus sign. You click on it and then you can schedule it up to like 2 weeks or 2 or 3 weeks in advance. For whatever reason, they don't let you do it on mobile, but you could schedule it on desktop. Go
Oh, that's
figure.
awesome.
So there's that too. So I've been using that as well. Snapchat. Did you know you could schedule it on Snapchat too, but through the web as well? Through the web, you log in through the web, Snapchat web, and then you can schedule out. You can schedule stories or spotlights. Spotlights, which is like Snap's version of like Reels or Instagram, etc.
Yeah.
So yeah, cool little things there. You know, the more like we're both into this, so you know, you get into these little things, you start learning these little tricks and tools and so forth.
Yeah, and I think the best piece of advice is just try everything. A lot of people think that there's like a magic one or it's like, which one do I actually need? Bro, just try everything. Everyone's different. Figure out what works for you.
Exactly, exactly. You know, for me, you know, how if I were to tell you how long it took me, Luis, to like figure out what like years ago, I would just default use reminders. And then I'm like, hey, how can I get deeper with it? Right. You know, or then I was like, I was starting trying a bunch of different to do apps, you know, like let's say TickTick. There was another one called Todoist or something like that. There was this other one called, I forgot even the name. There was like 4 or 5 different apps, download,
Yeah.
delete. And then it gets frustrating because, you know, you're importing your task from one to the other. You take the time to set it all up. You're like, okay, I like it. I don't like it. Delete, you know, and so
Yeah.
forth, you know.
And
And
that's
so
perfectly
exactly until
fine.
you find what clicks.
And you can be messy with it as well. Like before Trello, I was exploring with Notion, and the cool thing about Notion is they can connect it to your Google Calendar, and then when you connect it to your Google Calendar, it also connects to your Apple like reminders and stuff. So just try everything and feel free to get messy with it. As long as you know what you're doing, you know what you have to get done, do it however you want to. Like it doesn't really matter.
Facts. Yeah, I use Notion a bit too. Yeah, Notion and Asana. I haven't used Notion lately, but I use it a lot for like brainstorming, especially when I was taking a lot of like notes for like ads, like marketing, meta ads, Google ads. I have a bunch of like Notion docs, just like a lot of note taking.
Yeah.
But yeah, there you go. So at least, guys, to the audience, a bunch of tools that each of one of us use and so forth. So there you go. There you have it. I like that.
Yeah, there are
Now,
so
let
many.
me ask you. Go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry, not to cut you
I
off.
was
My
just
bad.
saying that there are so many tools. It's freaking amazing.
Oh, this is like, and now like you say with the whole AI, there's even more tools integrating AI, which I think is super cool. As long as you know how to use it, you know, it just speeds up the process
Yeah.
ultimately. And just like again, I like the Gary V's example that he uses, like when the tractor was invented or like the car, you know, all those people who, let's say, own horses, you know, yeah. And if anything, it just made things quicker. Let's say the tractor, I think the tractor is the best example versus manually picking the weed or whatever, you know, I don't know all the details of the farming industry, but now you have a tractor that does it like way faster. It's like, what's so wrong with that? You know, obviously a lot of people lost their jobs, let's say, because they didn't have to like be hired to pick it. It was the machine who did it. But then those people could do something else, learn something different. And it's just the same thing, you know? And actually, let me ask you the following. This is actually a good one
Right.
because myself, you know, I have a lot of friends in the video space and in the photography space, right? Videography, photography. My sister is a graphic designer. I
Uh,
used to work for a graphic designing company. So you as a graphic designer, a lot of people are really, let's say, with this whole ChatGPT update. I don't know how you saw it. There was a lot of people really hating on ChatGPT because
Oh
like,
yeah.
oh, you're like stealing other people's artwork. I can see both sides of the story, fair enough. But hey, it's AI is the future. So like take it or leave it. So you as a graphic designer, what's your feedback on AI? People that could copy, let's say through AI, other people's work, but then at the same time, if you're a designer, it could speed up your own workflow and processes. So how do you like go about seeing all that?
Yeah, my biggest take is stop seeing it as a threat and start seeing it as a tool. Because a lot of us are like closing our minds. Like, yeah, people lost their jobs when the tractors came out. You know why? Because they didn't know how to use them. They were like, "Oh no, like real men don't use tractors. We do it the hardcore way." Okay, keep doing that. You lost your job. So same thing with AI. Oh well, it's stealing, bro. It's unethical. It's not right. It's not the same. Okay, well, you charge pretty expensive, and AI can do it for free. What do you think is gonna happen? And guess what? You're gonna
Yeah.
lose your job. Someone who does know how to use AI, who isn't afraid of it, is probably gonna take your job and probably gonna take 100 people's jobs because it's a lot faster and cheaper. So instead of like being afraid of it, I think we should all be trying to learn it and understand what we can do with it. Like I'm a graphic designer. Trust me, I was heartbroken when I saw the image generation stuff that it was pumping out. I was like, oh my gosh, this is actually good. Like it's not the trashy generic stuff it was making. But then also once you start like learning about it, you start to realize what its limitations are, which that makes you feel better. Because I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I asked for I don't know, like I asked for a specific font, IBM Plex Serif, bold, and it spat out a font that was completely different. And I was like, okay, so you do have some weaknesses. You won't take my job yet, but you can like see how you can generate no, how you can speed up the process. Like I sometimes like we all struggle with brainstorming. Okay, get the AI to brainstorm with you. Like you have to start realizing what your skills are. So as graphic designers, as artists, we are experts in our field. So we could easily become facilitators and then we could start treating AI as an employee. So instead of wanting to do the work yourself, you could start thinking, okay, well, AI doesn't know about design history. AI doesn't know how to draw, or AI doesn't know the fundamentals of like art and design or what makes a piece good, what makes a piece bad. But you do. So you could start like directing it and seeing AI as an employee. And then you have the vision, you have the creative ideas, which AI cannot have. AI can only replicate what it already knows. However, you can come up with something different and you can come up with something new, which the AI needs to survive. So if you can be the mind that controls the AI, that's the best way to approach it. That's how you're going to keep your job. That's how you're going to move on. Because a lot of the people that are being stubborn and afraid of it, we've always had them around. And all of those people get replaced every single time. Maybe like the 1% survives because they just completely refuse to adapt to it and they probably already had a really loyal audience or they already have like consumers that are diehard for them. But a lot of us don't have that. So we should learn how to use it so we can advance because the reality is evolve or die. That's always been the reality. If you don't evolve, you're going to die, you're going to get wiped out. However, there's also the quote of like, if you can't beat your enemy, join him. So just join it. Figure out what it does, figure out what it can do, learn the limitations and learn how to use it. Because eventually there's going to be a higher demand for AI than ever because not everyone knows how to use it. And if you know how to use it, that's a skill. Like, yeah, maybe your job got taken. Like, you're no longer the graphic designer or the artist, but you're the person who knows how to make the art and design with AI. So it's really all about transferring your skills and like, or learning how to save yourself time using AI.
Yeah, 100%. Just being relevant and going with the times, adapting with the times, right? And maintaining yourself relevant and not being close minded, right? One thing I again, just referencing Gary, because he's impacted a lot of my thinking. Is like a lot of you guys, a lot of us are fixated on or, like this or that, whereas like Casey's and, like, why not and? Like, do this and
Mhm.
learn that,
Yeah.
and this. So, and I'm like, yo, that's so true. Cause even I caught myself like, no, this or that. I'm like, oh, shoot, you know what? Why not both? I'm like, there's that funny meme years ago from Wendy's, right? Why not both? I'm like, holy crap, that's like so relevant now too when you think about it from that business perspective. But let me ask you the following here, Luis. Like when it came to, I know you recently just launched one of your guides called Nuke Threads, right? I read it, loved it. I've been applying it myself, been seeing growth in my own like G3X Threads account, which is super dope. But talk to me about Nuke Threads, your reasoning, why you created it, why you made it happen, and talk to me about that.
I love this question. Every time someone asks me why I created it, I'm just like so happy because I'm like, oh my goodness, I actually have a reason for it. So Nuke Threads was born out of a lot of anger and frustration. And let me explain why. Like, I know that sounds bad, but it's actually a good thing, guys. So I noticed that like the first year of Threads, everyone was like, hey, this is cool. Like, I can't really figure out the algorithm, but it's really cool. Like, it seems like it's easy to grow. And then as the algorithm got progressively harder, quote unquote harder, because I mean, there's more people. Yeah, they do update things. Things evolve. It does get harder for sure. A lot of these like gurus and experts started to pop out where they were like selling all of these guides where they were like, I'm going to teach you how to get 1 million followers. You go to their account, they have like 500. And it's like, bro, what are you talking about? Like, you don't have the results. Or they're like, I'm going to teach you how to get a lot of engagement. You go to their post, only like one person liked it, and it's probably them. And it's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like, what are you teaching? You're a scammer. Like, you don't have the results. You don't have the engagement. You don't have the followers. You have no clue what you're talking about. You're just trying to scam people because you know they're desperate for growing on Threads. And I didn't like that. And then I feel like a lot of these guides were made using guides for other social medias. And it's like, it's very generic advice. Like, well, you need to have, I can't even think of something, but they're like, you have to be creative with your like wording or something like that. And I'm like, bro, that is so vague. Like, you're not teaching me anything. Or it's like, you know, when you ask like ChatGPT or Google, like, how do you get a bunch of followers on social media? And it gives you like
the Vegas response.
yeah, it's like so vague and useless. So that's the type of like guides that they were selling. And I was like, yeah, you don't have the expertise and you have no clue what you're talking about either. Like, you don't even have the results to prove to me that you know what you're talking about. And even those results could have been faked, but they don't even have that. So it's just really sad. And I was like, well, this is unfair. Like, I don't want these people to keep getting scammed, or I don't like how these people are making money from lying to people. So it was like, okay, well, I know how to grow on Threads. I've had 2 accounts. The last account that I had before this one had over 9,000 followers. And then this one currently has 3,300, which maybe it's not a lot, but maybe it is a lot for some people. But I know exactly how I grew that. And then I'm getting pretty good engagement. I get like about 100 likes per post. So it's like, it's not crazy, but it's definitely like better than most of these people that claim that they know how to grow. And I know exactly what I did. Like, I've studied it. I've had 2 accounts. I've compared posts, and I constantly check my stats and my data. Like, okay, well, this post performed well. Why? I try it again. I'm like, I think it's this. Doesn't work. Okay. I try it again a different way. Okay, this worked. I take notes of it and then create more. And then from there, so it's like I have it down to a very simple science. And I know what works and what doesn't. And then from there, I also speak in a very simple way. So I'm like, I'm not going to sell a guide that's very complicated, that uses all of these terms that people don't understand. So I was like, okay, I'll just make it super simple to understand. It's backed by my own results. I've tested these things and I use them on the daily. So I was like, okay, I'll make a guide that's really simple to understand. So I just put it all together. I was like, okay, well, what do I actually do to grow on Threads? What's helped me the most? And I just wrote that all down in threads. And I break it down into like very simple sections where it's like, well, here, you start here, move on to this. And this is for anyone. Like, for beginners, for advanced people, for intermediate, for business accounts, for any niche that you're on, Nuke Threads can help you because it's a system that adapts to anything. Because it's really all about like creating good content for anyone. Because I've noticed that there are good guides that can give you really fast results, but it's very limited to like one specific niche, one specific style of speaking. And the content gets very repetitive after a while because everyone is just copy pasting the content that went really viral, and then everyone is doing it. And then when everyone does it, it gets boring and no one pays attention to it anymore. So I wanted to create something that would be timeless, would get you good results no matter what niche you're in. And I wanted to make it very simple for everyone. And yeah, that's pretty much what inspired it. I was just like very fed up with all of these like terrible guides and gurus that were scamming people. And then from there, I made my own product that solved all of these issues that actually gave people results. And everyone that's bought it and everyone that's read it likes it because they're like, oh my gosh, like I never thought about it this way. Or they're like, okay, like it makes a lot of sense and they tried it and they're actually getting better results. And another thing that I need to warn everyone about is that it's not going to get you to go viral overnight and it's not going to give you insane results overnight. It's for people that are willing to put in the work and consistency to grow.
Yeah, but that was what I was gonna say because I read it myself, and definitely I love how in the guide there how it's very applicable steps. I like how you even did like the little like takeaway summaries towards like the end of each chapter of kind of like you're like okay, do this, do this. So it's like very practical steps, and just like Luis said here is that exactly. This isn't about like you're gonna go viral overnight. You got to put in the work. You got to put in the research. You got to put in the know-how. We already talked about different tools earlier on in this podcast of ways to speed up that process, but you still got to put in some work ultimately, and then be consistent with it at the same time. I know myself when it comes to Threads specifically of the different platforms. I like Threads. I really enjoy it both personally. I like it a lot personally, but even for the business brand as well, just talking about like either gym, fitness, or like that whole God Gym Grind mindset and certain like quotes related to that to resonate with people. And I know when I give it a lot more attention, because sometimes I do tend to focus a bit more on videos because that's just what I feel more comfortable with, which is it's a cheap excuse, following how Gary says that's an excuse, I still have to perform, but I do feel comfortable. Like it just, I do them like quick in a sense when it comes to like videos, either funny videos, gym videos, etc. So I do focus a lot more like through Instagram, like Reels or TikToks or even YouTube Shorts because of those videos. But then when I have some time, especially during the weekends, where like things are a little like calmer, then I love going on Threads, just chatting it up. And when I'm applying those principles that I read in the book, you definitely see like some more engagement, some more, let's say, either increase in followers. For me, it's more than just followers. Is what I love is the engagement aspect, just engaging with others, chatting up, and then that's how you start building community. So that's one thing definitely to those people listening. I do recommend Nuke Threads. Again, just like Luis says, this isn't about going viral overnight or anything. You'll get results, but you got to put in the work and you got to be consistent with it. But it's definitely very applicable. It's very practical, no fluff, no gimmicks. And and Luis really went off with his graphic design skills here because it's so clean, the book with like good, I mean, mind you, I'm in computer screens basically all day, every day. So let's say your vision isn't the best when you've been hours and hours on computer screens nonstop for like so many years, right? So I love the fact that it's like a very clean background, big, bold font letters that I could just easily read on my iPad. And I was like, okay, I like the aesthetics too. So if you're into aesthetics when reading, definitely another plus of this guide as well.
Yeah, thank you. I did try to like show off like, okay, I'm a graphic designer. I know what looks good. Yeah, I did keep in mind that people will get bored of the content if it's like not visually appealing. Because like I'm a student, I read textbooks all the time. Trust me.
Oh my God.
I know how.
Let's not get started on that.
Let me make this a good experience. I wanted to make it easy to consume in all the ways. Like the language is very easy to understand. There's action plans, so you know exactly what to do after you've been fed all of this information, and the graphics as well. It's like it's very easy to digest. It's like you know what is important, what is not, and make it easy to read.
Yep, no, definitely a great guide, chat. So I definitely recommend everyone there. So check it out for sure. And I'll make sure that in the video, if you're watching this on Spotify or YouTube, listening, watching, that it'll be in the description, the link, so you guys can even check out his Nuke Threads there directly. Now, also something else I wanted to ask you when it came to, let's say, tying it back to, let's say, again, that social media aspect, when we both know being in the social media game, it could get noisy, right? Like a lot of like either hate comments, sarcastic comments, or just you get caught up with like, oh, what do I create? What do I create? What do I create? And then, you know, it could get at someone. It could like kind of like, get stressing versus that enjoyment process, which I think what shows content creation should be about. How do you stay authentic, let's say, and aligned with your mission of like that self-improvement and not getting caught up with like the noise through social media and anything of that sort?
So, are you asking how do you remain authentic on social media?
Yeah, pretty much like how do you stay authentic and aligned with your mission, like the mission that you have on social media, like with all the different noise, how do you stay authentic to yourself through your mission that you're trying to go on social media? Exactly.
Yeah, so that's one of the things that I actually cover in Nuke Threads. I'm not trying to like shout it out, but the first chapter is picking your niche. So when you understand, like, okay, well, what is my niche? What do I like talking about the most? What am I most passionate about? Or who am I? And who do I want the people to see me as? That's when you start being a little more intentional with your content. You're like, okay, well, I really like self improvement, or I really want to make people happy. And that's when you're like, okay, well, like you start to share the things, you start to share the things that you're passionate about. And then from there, you have to keep in mind that, yeah, you will receive hate. Not everyone will understand your message, but you have to understand that your overall goal is to find your community. So you have to approach it from, I'm going to put this out there. Not everyone's going to understand it, but this is not for everyone. This is for the people that get it, for the people that want this type of content. And that's how you stay authentic through all the noise, because there will be like, there might be trends where it's like people just spreading hate, and you might want to try it just to get the engagement. But if you're like, whoa, doesn't really align with my mission, like this doesn't really align with how I want people to perceive me, then you'll think twice about posting that type of content. And then I know people say content creation is really hard for them. This actually just like before this podcast, I had someone message me where they were like, it's really hard for me to stay consistent because sometimes I have bad days, or sometimes I have random thoughts and I don't think twice about what I say, and it comes off as like really mean. And I'm like, okay, well, you have to understand that you can have multiple accounts. Like maybe you have one where you let your thoughts out, and then you have another one where you have a more professional image where you only talk about things related to your brand or your niche. So every time you post, keep in mind, like, is this helping my brand? Is this like aligned with what I want to put out there? Yes or no? And if it's no, think about it. Like, do you really want to put this out there or not? Because you can like be a little out of pocket. You can have a little fun with it. Like, not every post that I make is super serious or related to self improvement. Like, I will post memes. I will post the most random things on my social media because at the end of the day, it's my account and I can do whatever I want with it. So, like, being authentic can also mean like being a little silly every once in a while, showing a little bit of personality. But it also means like, am I doing this because it's really me? Or is it just me in this moment? Like, maybe I just feel this way right now. Like, will I regret this later? Yes or no? And if you will, then don't post it. So it's really all about like knowing who you are, what's your goal with social media, and what your niche is.
Well said. Exactly that. Exactly that. Nice. Now, for the final question here, as wrapping up this podcast, which has been an amazing, love the conversation. But let's say looking ahead for yourself, Luis, what do you see your vision for like, let's say this upcoming year of 2025, both in terms of, let's say, content creation, personal growth? I do recall a while back in one of your live streams, you had like different goals, and I've been seeing how you were talking about a while back in that live. You're like, hey, the link tree and this, and then boom, boom, boom. So you're on your mission, my guy. I love it. So tell me, what do you see your vision for the next year? Again, in terms of content creation, your own personal growth and development.
I see myself as getting more serious with content creation. And what I mean by that is getting to the level where I can dedicate more time to this. So that would be like a monetizing, actually making a living from this. So I can invest more time into it. Because right now I think like yes, I'm growing, which is super exciting, but I'm also not investing as much time into it as I would like to be. Like I did mention like I was gonna make a digital product. Yeah, I made it. But I also said I was gonna make a newsletter and I was gonna start doing more live streams and was gonna also produce more content. So I think as I keep growing, my goal is to get more ambitious with content creation and doing more and more content. But in order to get there, like I do need to start finding more ways to monetize, grow my audience, and like start to realize what do I really want out of this. And right now it's like I really want to help people. Like maybe in the future I might do content full time, and then also maybe I'll do motivational speaker talks, like stuff like, or maybe I'll be on more podcasts. So I'm figuring that out as I go. I can't really tell you like I'm gonna do specifically this because I'm figuring this out as I'm going. But what I would say my goal is to spend more time on here, make more content, and try to grow this community as big as possible because I do want my message to get to as many people as possible. And then also I want to create a good life for myself that's flexible. And I feel like content creation does give me a lot of flexibility and I really enjoy it.
No, I love it. I love it, man. And stay locked in, as I like to say, on that God Gym grind, and you're grinding it out, putting in the work. So keep up. Love it, love it. And awesome, guys. This would be concluding today's podcast episode. I hope you guys really enjoyed it. This was an awesome one that we talked about content creation, AI, personal development, and so many cool stuff. Ultimately, to the audience, Luis, if they wanted to find you, where could they find you? What platforms are you on?
I'm on Instagram as Luis the Emperor, Threads, which is my main one, as Luis the Emperor as well. X, it's also Luis the Emperor, but it's Luis the Emperor X. Some guy took my name before me. That sucked. And I'm also on Red Note as Luis Emperor as well. I don't know if the handle is Luis Emperor. You have to use a little number. It's a little weird there. But I'm on those 4 platforms as of right now. And in the future, I might be on more.
Beautiful. And there you go, guys. And I'll make sure I have that in the description there below. And I'll even include also his link tree, which has like also his links for his Nuke Threads and all that. If you guys are interested in checking it out, it'll be super dope. But until the next time, appreciate everyone listening to this podcast. As we like to say here at G3X Fitness, God, gym, grind, God first, hit the gym, and whatever life throws at you, grind it out. And until the next time, for the next episode, peace out, everyone. Have a good one.